and you know, just and you've been playing music since now. You were saying 2002. You've had since music, but I'm sure that was that like the start of your music. Kind of call it a career, or just like what can because I mean I always like to say music career, but we all
Hmm.
have so many different we wear so many hats as
Hmm.
musicians within these days. So when did you actually start playing music, playing out?
So my first, I would say, I'm from the South, so I grew up in church. So my parents
Okay.
always took me to church, and
Uh huh.
I started singing in front of people in church.
Nice.
Um, and then I left church and went to college and
Mm-hmm.
didn't really go to church while I was in college or anything like
Yeah.
that. But I
Mm-hmm.
like I had a band. Like I think the band that we formed in high school, um, that was the first like okay, me and some guys are gonna get together and play music. And we had our first gig my junior. I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I did not. I was a jock. I played basketball, baseball, and football growing up, entire
Yeah.
life.
I was playing
And my
basketball as
goal
well.
was to play football at Clemson University. That was my goal.
Nice.
Our high school team was garbage though, and I got hurt
Ah.
my freshman year, and I couldn't play anymore.
Ah, man.
Um, I still played basketball and baseball. I played baseball the longest. I played baseball, and I even like did some intramural and club baseball stuff at Clemson.
Uh.
So like the
Nice.
baseball I kept doing, but like I got hurt. But before that, a couple years before that, my grandfather, my dad's side, passed away, and he left me an acoustic guitar
Uh huh.
that I had never seen him play ever. It was an old Opus guitar. They were made in like the 40s.
Hmm.
Um, Horrible bridge, like horrible action on this thing, super warped. You really like literally the bridge is here. The guitar strings sit like this far off of the bridge. Like it's so bad. The neck is so warped. Um, but he had a book of chord like fingerings, like how to play
Yeah.
each chord. So that I taught myself just as looking all over the span of 2 years,
Yeah.
looking at this book. And I never thought I would. I loved singing and I loved being. I loved learning all these different songs because I would
Yeah.
say around the same time I would have been 12, 13 years old when I'm going through old 8 tracks and LPs that my parents had,
Yeah.
and I'm obsessed with this cassette tape of Led Zeppelin 4, and I'm going through my dad's Eagle records and Aerosmith Toys in the Attic on 8 track, and
Yeah.
like obsessing now with this classic rock thing and learning that Jimi Hendrix was a thing, and like I'm like okay, so now I got to learn how to play all these songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I started teaching myself literally by ear just how to play all these songs. And so the the career, it is a career, like it is what I do like full time
Uh huh.
now. And I do help produce other people's stuff, and I do write songs for other singer songwriters that are
Awesome.
um, a little bit a little bit more famous than me. So I would not call myself. I mean, in our little area of South Carolina, people know who I am, but other than that, nobody knows who I am. So, like, you might see my name pop up on a song credit here or there. That's about the extent of that. But
Right.
um, the for me, it is a joy to hear someone create something great
Mm-hmm.
and go, I have to learn that. Like I
Yeah.
have to learn that. That song is incredible. I have to I appreciate great songwriting so much that I immediately have to sit down and learn it.
Yeah.
And that started it all. We were playing Stevie Ray Vaughan covers and all these blues and classic rock songs in high school. And then when we got to college, there are a couple bars that would book us as their one of their regular bands each month where it was like, okay, we are there was a bar down here called Wild Wings.
Mm-hmm.
Not Buffalo Wild Wings, but just Wild Wing Cafe. So Wild Wing Cafe was a restaurant that started in Charleston. It was a sports bar, and they put them all over South Carolina
Mm-hmm.
and in Georgia and North Carolina. So we would travel to each one of them and play music at each one of these Wild Wing cafes
Nice.
across the state in the down the East Coast. So We were a Wild Wings band, which means you play 3 hours worth of music and you can only play 20% originals.
Right.
So you're playing 80% covers.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I was 20, I could probably play 14 hours worth of cover music. Like, I learned so many different cover songs at that point. It was what I was doing. And then
Yeah.
when the band wasn't playing, I was playing every Thursday night in Clemson downtown, like 4-hour sets from 10 to 2.
Nice.
For like $150 and an open bar tab. You know, like that was where that's the most dangerous thing you can do for a 21-year-old that's playing in the bars. Like, you're just gonna give me an open bar tab? Great. Then my blood type became bourbon and ginger. Like, that's
right.
that's what my blood type was in 2006. But you know, it was a lot of fun, and I kept writing and kept writing and kept writing and kept writing and kept writing. But then you get out of college and it's like, all right, I gotta get a job. I gotta like pay bills. And so I think for the longest time, I put the guitar aside and just said, all right, I have a broadcasting degree. Like, I have a journalism degree.
Nice.
So am I going to be a journalist or a salesman, or am I going to be a pastor? I don't know what I was going to do. Like, I was just one of those things where it's like, okay, I feel like I'm being called to do this, and I feel like I'm being called to do this, and I feel like I'm being called to do this. Maybe I do this first. And so I tried a bunch of different things, and I knew music was one of them, and I consistently continued to play music, but not my own stuff and not really like for a living. It was basically on the weekend type thing. Yeah. And then I was encouraged. I was miserable. When I first started podcasting, I ran a website, a wrestling website from 2013 to 2015 when we sold it, called WrestlingRumors.net. And one of my writers, who became one of my great friends, John Alba, and I decided, let's keep part of this audience and just do a podcast. So we started a podcast called Living the Gimmick. Almost exactly 6 years ago. So it'll be 6 years next month. We'll be at 300 episodes next month. We have some exciting announcements to make next month about the podcast and about where it's going to go in the future. But we've been doing that for 6 years, and that became an outlet to use my degree. Kinda. I mean, I'm making silly noises on a podcast. Like, it's not, you know, it's fun, but it is a job at the same time.
I have a blast just watching you guys every Tuesday. Like, me and my buddy watch it every Tuesday. It's like a ritual for us. Like, because we were actually a Wrestle Reaction people, and we were watching Frank Manzo, and you guys would come on every once in a while, and you know, once Frank said that he couldn't do it anymore, we're like, well, my buddy was listening to Living the Gimmick, and he's like, dude, you got to listen to these two. They come from Wrestle Reaction, and I'm like, all right, well, you know, I'll check them out. And it's been, you know, the last like probably like 2 years, it's been like we've been watching you guys, and sometimes even when we're not watching the product, we just look forward to just catching up and reacting with you guys, and we're just laughing our asses off with you and John every Tuesday. And you guys put on an awesome product, and we try to share it out as much as we can when we, you know, enjoy an episode. I mean, and you know, you guys are always something to look forward to on the Tuesdays.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, it is like, we have fun doing it. Like, we call each other work wives. Like, we probably talk to each other. I talk to John almost as much as I talk to my own wife. So we have a blast doing it, and we hope, well, if we entertain ourselves, then other people might be entertained. So let's just see if we can entertain ourselves. So, I mean, this past week, we spent the entire hour and a half just trying to make each other laugh. That's literally what that entire episode was.
We were cracking up.
Can we pop each other?
We were cracking up over the dewdrop thing. I
mean, that's literally once. I don't, and neither one of us, that's not on an agenda. It's never listed out. We're going to do this running bit throughout the, like, it never is a plan. It's just something like that will start. the week before, I just had this. I don't know why. It just popped in my head to start doing a bit where I would just promote our Patreon as much as possible in one episode. I don't know why.
Uh-huh.
It just made me laugh inside that I continued to promote it. And then, boom. By the end, John's dying at me doing it. I was like, see, that's why I was trying to get him to laugh, and finally I got so. And then we got a bunch of comments and like messages saying, "Hey, tell me where I can get some exclusive content because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What's the website that I can get?" And I'm like, yeah. So as long as we're entertaining ourselves, it's but that like that's part of it. Like I was running a website and doing music, and then I needed to get another real job. Because we sold the website, which was great. I had seed money to help buy the house that I'm sitting in right now, because it sold for a nice little penny for only having the website up for 2 years. We did a great job building up the SEO and really converting that thing into a moneymaker. Whilst being the only one of, if not the only website at the time that's covering a fake sport. With real sports journalist writing, where we were very gung ho about being very source related and making sure that we're validating stories and not just running BS rumors that people constantly do in what we call the dirt sheet era. Like that's what we were kind of. We were more of an actual news site than a dirt sheet.
Yeah.
But now if you go to wrestlingrumors.net, it's 100%. Just clickbait and it sucks, but like whatever, I made money off of it, so
right.
It helped buy this house, so
it's a win-win, I guess. Yeah, so.
It's a win-win. I bought this house 5 years ago and it'll be paid off in 4 years, so
there you go.
That's unheard of as a 36-year-old man. I can't complain. But I did have to go get a real job, and so I started selling tires and was like legit being filthy all day, every day from 9 to 6, just covered in black tire dust. And finally in 2017, I was encouraged by someone that was like, I can't believe you're not playing music like in front of people anymore, especially not stuff that you were writing, because you're still writing really good stuff. And I was like, maybe I should go to an open mic night on a Tuesday night and just see what it feels like again to do that, because I haven't done it in so long. And I played 3 of my own songs, and the lady said, what do you like at the venue? Venue just opened, and she had just started open mics, and I drove 40 minutes to her place because it was the only place open on a Tuesday night that did open mic. And I was like, okay, well, I have a Tuesday night free for the first time in the history of life. I'm going to go do an open mic night. And I played 3 or 4 songs that I had just written, and it felt really good. Like, really good. And so I quit my full-time job and said, I'm going to start booking shows again. And luckily, we were in the middle of a boom. I'm in the upstate of South Carolina, so I am an hour and a half away from the Georgia border and an hour away from the North Carolina border. Okay. We are at the tippy tip of South Carolina. I'm only 20 minutes away from Clemson University, so it's a booming area called Greenville. Like that's the city that I'm in.
Right.
There are 3 major cities in South Carolina. One's Greenville, one's Columbia, which is our capital, and one is Charleston on the coast.
Yes.
And Greenville has boomed so big in the last 5 years with breweries and local venues, and like people want to see live music, and so all these different restaurants are now having live music all
That's
around.
Great.
And for the first couple years, I played wherever, whoever would book, because it's my full-time job.
Yeah.
Once I got a little bit of recognition again in my city, it was like, I'm not playing restaurants anymore unless they want to pay a certain price tag, because I know I'm background music at that point.
Yeah.
But I love certain venues that I play at, and there's one venue that I play at just once a month, and it's always packed out when I'm there. It's always a fantastic night. People come to hear the music, sing along.
That's awesome.
They are champions of local singer-songwriters, and they buy everyone's albums, and they literally sing along with the original music when they come, and it's a lot of fun, and it's a fantastic venue. It's called Sweet Sippin'. It's in Simpsonville, South Carolina. If you're in the upstate, you need to check it out. They're about to open another venue as well, downtown Greenville. It's a very awesome place. Julie is an incredible owner, and all the people that she's curated into being local heroes of the local music scene. I can't brag about them enough. It's been a great honor to see the return of live music in our area, because it, for the longest time, I mean, I even took a 10-year hiatus from playing live stuff like that. So it's been a blast getting back out there and writing new stuff. And like I said, I got married in that time span, so a new muse for songwriting, and so yeah, it's been a blast, and I'm looking forward to what goes forward. I do have multiple hats that I wear. I do also MC and DJ events and weddings and all that good stuff for a company here in Greenville called Premier Party Entertainment. At PPE DJs on the Instagrams, if anybody's looking for a DJ. It's a fun gig. I enjoy doing it. I still get to use my radio voice when I'm emceeing, so that's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a cool gig. Again, my weekends are completely slammed all the time, so you'll likely see me doing nothing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, outside of recording podcast stuff.
Yeah,
I'm probably not going to leave my house, but to go to the grocery store. That's probably it. But Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'm not here, and I'm booked somewhere. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, and especially like you were saying, it's good that, everybody's kind of getting back to a sense of normalcy with live music. And you were saying that, with the certain bars that you play at, like there's people that actually want to be there for live music and help out the local artists, and they buy their albums and, support them madly. Not saying that it's the same thing around here, but I live right outside of Philadelphia, like one of the biggest music cities, if you can say, and everybody and their mother is a musician. So it's very hard to break out in that type of scene, especially being a solo person. It's like, you have to, be constantly out there, just like anything else. You have to constantly be working, getting your name out there, being in front of the people, and then again, making networking with other musicians and getting on their things, and just constantly getting your name out there. But it's very I haven't seen a lot of people, unless they're there for a specific person, that is like, oh, I'm just going out just for the music and I'm supporting whoever plays there. It's like they're usually there if they're there for a certain person. And I mean, I could be wrong. I just haven't been to that type of venue where there was just a lot of random people and they were like, we don't care who plays tonight, we're just going to support whoever's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a weird, like, that has, like, again, it wasn't like that for a while. Like I mean, live music in Greenville had died for a very long time, a good decade for real. Our best venue went down in 2008, and then there was really nothing. Unless you were like straight up metal, we have a venue that's metal, and we had a hip hop venue, like a dance club vibe kind of place. That was it. And so with the boom of breweries in our area, I mean, we literally have like 18 breweries that have popped up in the last.
And I think that's starting to get pretty popular around here. It's like a lot of
and they want live music.
Yeah,
and so people come because they know they're going to get great beer. They can sit outside, they can enjoy the entertainment no matter who or what that is.
Exactly.
And if you set yourself apart and have great material, whether it's, if you are playing like me, I'm usually like half covers, half original. If you have enough material, and I'm playing 3 or 4 hour sets, so it's like, if you have enough material and you can set yourself apart, then the people will absolutely love you. And so then they will follow you on your social media. Then they will buy your stuff, and then they will come to the next show that you're at.
Exactly.
So it's been an interesting thing to see, like, the return of the venue. And that's a question for you. Like, what? So you say there's a ton of musicians left and right. I would say in my area of South Carolina, and I don't have a real big South Carolina accent. I can throw one on for you if you want me to. But that's the thing, like, there aren't a lot of artists in my area doing what I do.
Right, and
there are a lot of artists in my area who are country artists. And sure, I've got some Southern rock vibes to my stuff.
Right, but
I'm not a country artist.
and I've never been much of like the big country fan either, but
Right.
being a original artist first, because I was in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of bands like you were saying. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like we kind of grew up in like the same type of
Mm-hmm.
system. Like we were in bands, then we kind of went solo and did our own
Mm-hmm.
thing. But like I did my
Mm-hmm.
band thing, and just trying to start into playing original music as a solo artist, and then eventually moving into the cover scene of playing cover
Mm-hmm.
music. Because when I was 18, 21, I wasn't ready to be playing in a bar, because I always say to people, saying like, I'd rather be walking down the street and somebody come up to me and say like, hey, I saw you at that venue and you were playing this one song and I really liked it. I'm like, yeah, I wrote that. He's like, dude, you should, get that recorded. I would rather have that instead of somebody coming up to me and say, dude, I saw you at that bar last night and you played that Metallica cover like spot on. I'm like, yeah, well, I never wrote it, but thank you. But I'd rather
No,
be.
I mean that's yeah. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why my mentality now is like, hey, I'll play 3 hours at your restaurant
Hmm.
or your brewery if you pay me this amount of money. Like, and I'll do majority covers. It's
Yeah,
fine.
but I don't
But I
mind it
love the
because
music that I've
the
written.
the with being an original artist.
It's a job for me, you know.
Yeah, exactly that too, and I've learned to actually take a positive swing with playing cover music, because it's actually made me a better singer songwriter in
Yep.
learning to
Mm-hmm.
how like learning other people's music has
Yep.
taught me to be like, okay, they're writing songs this way, and how can that help me write not necessarily what they wrote, but like the song structures and how they put a song together. That's how I should be, thinking as well.
Absolutely.
And my songwriting, took a big, spike and improvement there. And I also enjoy playing, like, because I've gone through, and I usually like to try to do a little bit of everything. Sometimes I see a lot of people only sticking to a very small niche of cover music. I mean, I always
Mm-hmm.
feel like if people are going to listen to you, you're going to get a lot of people like country people, like hip hop, rock, classic rock. So if you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of hit a little bit of the all spectrums, you're going to get a lot more people liking you. And then, like you said, you're going to get people that, are going to remember you, that plays that awkward song that nobody would ever think, but you just decided to just do it because you were like, I'm just going to wing it over here. But they'll remember that, and they'll be back to see you, and hopefully you don't have to do that song again. But it's cool because I've been able to, get back and listen to a lot of music that I haven't really even listened to in a while. And like you were
Yeah.
saying earlier, on the fact that, you enjoy a song that makes you want to learn it. There was a song, a Kid Rock song, Only God Knows Why. Somebody requested that, and I just kind of winged it one night. But I went back like 2 days later and I wanted to listen to it because I knew the song, but I just forgot how, the whole arrangement was. And I listened to the solo. I'm like, this solo is like awesome, and it made me want to learn it. So just learning by ear, and I'm like, wow, like now I actually really want to try to learn this song. And because I do a lot of live looping in my shows, so I'm like, all right, well, how can I turn
Okay.
this into like a live looping thing? And so
Right.
I really enjoy doing the live looping aspect because, again, like you were saying, there's not a lot of people that do it like kind of the way I do it around my area, because I bring not just live looping and a one-man band thing, but I have a hybrid style guitar, which I can have acoustic and electric at the same time, and I can toggle between them. So usually I'll loop an acoustic section, and if it's like a heavier, tune, like if I'm playing like All on the Watchtower by Hendrix,
Sure.
I'll loop the main riff in acoustic,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'll just turn on the electric fader and just start wailing on the solos, and
It's
then
awesome.
people look at it and they're like where's all this music coming from? And I'm like, it's just me. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, so that I mean that's one of the things that we have to do
Mhm.
to separate ourselves. There are not a lot of people, and especially people that are good at it, doing that. And the ones that are separating themselves from everybody else. So like
Yeah.
I have an RC300, a Bose RC300. I've got the 4 channels. I loop like crazy.
Yeah.
I've got some. I've got the Boss VE2 vocal harmonizer,
Mm-hmm.
so I can throw some on there right now. You can hear a little slapback delay just from the little pedal. If I'm playing something, um, I can have 2-part harmony with me.
Yeah.
I also just invested in a Beat Buddy by Singular Sound.
I've heard a lot. I've been thinking about getting that too for a drum thing, but because usually I just do my guitar and I'll make a beat on my guitar. But I've been hearing so many good things about the Beat Buddy and
great things. I heard way too many great things that I said. They dropped the price by $100 Monday and Tuesday for Prime Day.
Okay.
To compete with Prime Day, actually, because you had to get it from their website to get the deal.
Of course, yeah.
And then if you but then there's also a 30% off first time order coupon code that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Threw that in there as well, and I got the foot switch for free. So I was like, freaking $50 foot switch that allows you to pause the song, which you can't do just on the regular Beat Buddy. You got to grab the foot switch.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're talking inside baseball here, but like these are the little tools of the trade that separate a solo artist from someone that's just plugging into guitar that maybe their first show at this gig, at this venue, at this brewery or a restaurant, and people are sitting back either going, oh my gosh, like this is a bad cover, or it's holy crap, how's this one guy pulling all this off? Now, again, a lot of people try these things, and if they're not, if they don't practice a lot and they don't know what they're doing, it won't sound great.
It's definitely a thing. Like, you have to know your gear and know and practice a lot of those things. And I used to do just the strict acoustic and vocal plug in, ready to go. And being from a band, after a while, that got boring to me. Just kind of with a guitar and a vocal, I'm like, well, I need something else. I need to have some type of more creativeness to it. And I saw this one guy, started doing some live looping stuff, and he had a hybrid style guitar, and I was watching him. Next thing I know, it was 2 hours. He was on a live gig, and I'm watching him for 2 hours because I was amazed at what he was doing. And I'm like, I got to figure out how he's doing this, because that's something that I want to be doing too. And thankfully, he's like miles away, so we wouldn't be in each other's, fields of we're playing in the same type of venues or anything, so we wouldn't be cross connecting with each other. But I talked to him, and we're good friends now that we can talk. And my most recent single, he actually helped mix and master my most recent single, and he got me into picking out my hybrid style guitar that I use, my Godin A6 Ultra. And I've been loving the fact that it's very versatile, that you can go from acoustic and then you can just get an electric sound and throw that right in there. I usually use an amp modeler for my electric side, so I can throw some distortion on there, throw a chorus, whatever type of effects that I want to. And again, it's something that separates you from the basic style. And then, not saying that people with just a vocal and a guitar are not
there
talented.
are great ones out there, man.
There are really some great ones. Even in Meyer, there's some people that can do it way better than me. But for me, I just felt like I need to express a little more creative side, because I know my biggest thing was,
man. I'm playing
exactly.
So
if I'm going to be up there, I might as well have fun. If I'm going to be playing out there for
4 hours,
3-4 hours, I might as well have some fun. Instead of being bored and be like, okay, well, at least I'm getting paid after this. Instead of getting playing a 30-minute set for $20, if you get $20. And when I was playing my first cover show, so I remember I was like, well, I'm going to be playing 3-4 hours, and they're like, well, what's your starting pay? And I never had a guarantee before, because I would be in a band, and like, we're lucky to get $20 for a 30-minute gig that we traveled like an hour for. And I'm like, what do you usually pay for a 3-4 hour gig? And they're like, well, we usually pay $150. I'm like, that's good to me. I'll take $150. So so now that I've been a lot more, and I've been putting into the fact of putting myself as a businessman as well, of being a musician on that type of front, that you have to be, both ends of it too. So trying to keep myself as like a professional on that side, but then also, being the creativeness of a musician, and, trying to mesh those two things together. But like the moral of the story is, as long as you're having fun up there, people are going to connect with that. And like how you and John are on your
It's
show,
the same. Yep.
that as people will know if you're having fun. And I think that's
Yep.
half the reason why we continue to, check you out every Tuesday, because it's something interesting, you guys, and especially the episodes where you guys are together. And we've always thought, like,
Right.
it's never the same show when you and John are not together. Like
Right.
like you guys just like have a
Yep.
perfect connection where, you guys are like, you guys agree, but then you're okay with not disagreeing with each other, and you guys can vibe off each other in that way. And it's, it's really cool that you guys have been able to, spark such a big audience with that too. And it's something, we look forward to every Tuesday. And we went to WrestleMania 35, and me and my buddy met John Alba, and we were a little bummed because we were expecting to see you there, but I think there was a reason, I forget, that you weren't able to make it out that time.
Was that Dallas?
Sorry,
Was that Dallas?
that was New York, New Jersey.
New York, New Jersey. That's right. Dallas
Yeah.
was 32. So 35. Yeah. So, I got burnt on WrestleManias at 33 in Orlando, and I was just like, yeah.
And then,
I don't go to WrestleMania
so we were stoked to see Frank, because we were still Wrestle Reaction fans, and we met John. John was cool as hell. We were, and then we were stoked. We were like, yeah, we can't wait to meet Frank, and blah blah blah. And I'll keep this to between you and me. We were so, because he was like, hey guys, how you doing? You were great to see, a great show. And that was the last thing he said to us, that whole damn thing. We were expecting him to kind of, have a good conversation, but it's almost like he blew us off. But John was like so cool to kind of talk to us, and we're like, we really wish Doug was here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to invest that kind of money now in a product that I don't really like. So it's like,
this is the first time that I have not watched Raw consistently. And again, we could talk more about this on the show, tomorrow night if we really want to. But like, I've actually watched when the product was really weak, and I'm like, all right, well, at least it's somewhat keeping me interested to watch every week. But now it's like, there's just, like you were saying, there's nothing that's keeping me interested in order to want to watch for 3 hours. And if it's one segment, I'm not waiting 3 hours for it.
Yeah, and it was 2019 too, and my wife and I. So my wife does a Disney podcast.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so we were before COVID. We were annual pass holders at Disney.
Nice.
And so that's I think for that year the price had gone up $500 a pass. So that took our any kind of thinking about, because we had talked about just going to New York. Like if Frank would have said, we have a place y'all can stay for free, we would have been in New York. We just wouldn't have gone to WrestleMania. We would have gone to NXT probably.
Gotcha.
And John and I would have done a bunch of inside and like interviews and stuff with people like he did, by himself. Like we would have done all that together, like we did in Orlando. And I just wouldn't have gone to WrestleMania. We would have just watched it at Frank's house while everybody else was there. But that didn't happen, so we were like, well, we're not going to drive 14 hours to New York again, because we did it in 2015. We drove up for SummerSlam at Barclays.
Okay.
Beth and I love road trips, so like we're that's our type of thing. And we drove up and stayed with Frank, and but
That's
I
awesome.
understand, like he had just had a baby and all that, like so we weren't going to ask like, hey, can we stay there for free, kind of thing. But it's like we were at that point spending a good probably $3,000 to $4,000 a year going to Disney World as our thing, like as our trips. We would go we'd go probably once a quarter down there, so sometimes twice a quarter. So we were spending our money on other things because A, she loves it, and I like it. B, I can't spend that kind of money on a WrestleMania when I don't like the card. You know
and,
what I mean?
and 35,
can't.
like we didn't and I mean the show didn't get done until after 1 o'clock, and that
Well, you
crowd
got
during
to
that
see John Cena's engagement, which is awesome because that lasted.
Yeah, seeing him with Elias and the whole thugonomics thing that went down, and then
Oh no, that was okay. So my brain's off. I thought the engagement was tonight, but you saw the thugonomic return. He didn't have a match.
Yeah, he didn't have a match. He just had like that little section there.
I saw the engagement.
Yeah, I think
in
that
Orlando.
was what Mania was that or
33.
33. Okay. Yeah, I have to kind of remember that one. But and then
the next year was the Undertaker thing, and then the next year was Elias.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. And then the women's triple
Last
threat
year was right.
The women's triple threat at 35. I mean, that didn't even start until almost like midnight, and that crowd
it was right at midnight. Yeah,
that crowd was dead tired because we were out there like
it was 7.5 hours, dude.
Yeah, it was brutal because we were out there, tailgating with the Square Circle Entertainment. We didn't even know we didn't even know they. Well, we did know they were having a tailgate, but we didn't know where. And we actually parked like right next to the tailgate. So, and then, we were out there since like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, and then we didn't get into the building till about 3. WrestleMania started like 5 o'clock at that point. And you're watching, this and that. The show started out great because you had Seth Rollins, beating Lesnar, and that was probably the biggest pop of the night. Right. But then come 12 o'clock, if they would have probably just started that match maybe an hour earlier, the crowd probably would have been a little more into it. But by 1 o'clock, people were like, "I'm getting the hell out of here."
Sure. Yeah.
And the screwy finish in general, it's like, okay, we waited for a screwy finish at the end of it.
Right.
So,
right, yeah.